morning, everybody. Welcome to Railway Cottage Studio. It's been a little minute since I've made a video. We've been fairly flat out over here. I lost my lovely dad on Sunday, so the last couple of weeks have been very busy, as you can imagine, spending time with him and being with him at home until we lost him on Sunday. So it's now Friday. It's the first time I've stepped back into my little room. I'm going to do a little bit of work on this Roxy's Journal of Stitching Volume 7 Still Life. I've done a little bit of work sitting, next to beds and things. And I'm up to my vase. You can see my little vase here. I've stitched down my flowers since I saw you last. All I've done is just put a straight embroidery on there. Needle point onto there. And today I'm going to work on these little guys. I'm just going to pop this under so you can see it a little bit more clearly. There we go. So this is my vase. So I started with the shape of a vase and I just needed to make it a little bit more 3D and interesting. So I have been cutting and popping on little bits and pieces of fabrics to give it some interest. So this is what I'm left with. So I'm going to stitch everything down and then cut along the shape of the vase from the back so that the shape of the vase is evident. I'm going to start with some of this stitching on this side. I think I might start with the brown. I'm not trying to make anything invisible here. I want my vase to look textured and busy because, I only do textured and busy. So yeah, it has been a pretty full-on couple of weeks. My lovely dad died at home with me and my brother and mum and his dog by his side, so I don't think you can get much better than that. But it's a big transition. Mum and Dad were married for 57 years. They just had their 57th wedding anniversary. So yes, it's a sad time. I have taken a little bit of time off work. We say goodbye to Dad on Tuesday next week. So this afternoon I'm just going to do some stitching and take some care of myself. So I hope your week's been better than mine. I hope something good is happening in your world. This little bit here is going to be covered by this. So I want it stitched down and lumpy, but I'm not too worried about the stitching. So I want to finish that there. Just deciding what side. I'm going to put this on last. So I have done a couple of layers at once here. Just how this little piece is working out for me. Some people have done some magnificent things with their bunches of flowers. I just watched Rachel and Sarah's latest videos and holy dooly. See, I'm cheating. I'm taking advantage of someone else's beautiful work. I'm not sure yet how much more I will do to the back, but I can certainly get busy on the fronts. So I've added this little bit at the bottom, like the stand of the vase. I'm just going to stitch it across. And again, I'm not trying to hide anything. I might just do little cross stitches across and back. I think I have put some kind of light and shade on this vase with the bits of collage fabric that I've popped on. I saw how Corinne did hers, and it's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. But I like things a bit messier. I don't think I have the concentration or the patience to make it look as amazing as her vase looks. All the different bits of collage fabric. I think she said the technique was one that she saw the collage quilter do, but she's kind of changed it and made her own. So it looks wonderful. But I'm going to be chunky and busy and me. So yes, it's been a big week. My dad and I share a birthday. So this year when it's his birthday, it'll be the first time ever that I have had a birthday on my own. So I can't say I'm looking forward to that very much. But I was very lucky to have him as long as we did, and very lucky to be able to live close and for him to be part of my children's lives. while they were little and growing up. I've got lots of funny stories about Poppy. At the moment I'm just going on in one direction, and I'll go back and create the crosses on the way back, if that makes sense. I'm just going to go up through here. So this little vase is going to be separate at the moment. It's going to be a separate element that I add, so I'm just kind of creating it as its own thing. All right, so I've got that little double one at the end. Now I'm going to go back and do some crosses. And they're deliberately not straight or even. I think it's Friday. Kind of lost touch with what the day is at the moment. I see everyone's preparing for the big D-stash in Sydney. If only I lived closer. Actually, it's probably a very good thing that I don't. I should probably be de-stashing myself, but I don't know that I ever could, to be honest. Like I'm selling, no, maybe. I guess I'm quite ruthless when I buy or get things. I don't keep anything I don't like, so therefore everything in my stash is stuff that I love. And I use so much of it. I think just in the quilt that I made, the Sewers Village quilt, I think I used 30 full-size doilies, you know, and they're not easy to come by, the embroidered doilies. So that little guy's just stitched across the bottom. So I'm just going to have a drink. So it's actually not too hot here today. We've had a bit of a reprieve with the weather. It's only about 27, I think. So see how this isn't exactly the right shape? I'm going to sew it down and then turn it over and trim along the sides so that we can see the outline of the vase. So I'm just popping up now across to this bit of brown check. I'm just going to run it in little straight stitches across. So I've been gardening, my fingers look dirty, but they're not. Things you want to do when you grieve is, you know, grow things and make things, isn't it? I think it's a. I just looked at my nails. I've all got potting mix. It's a natural response to death is to grow stuff. Pull this back here. I'm going to do little stitches along the cream. I don't necessarily want to see that bit. And again, I know it's not quite the vase shape, but I'll make sure I don't go to the edge so that when I trim it, it doesn't come undone. See what I mean? Yep. I'm just going to go down here and finish a little stitch. I'm just going to come back along here and do stitching down to there. All these pins, it's going to get caught. I should be using the little embroidery pins. Okay, that's good. So now I'm just going to continue up the side. I might actually turn over to continue up the side because I don't want to accidentally sew outside the actual shape of the vase. I think I'm right there. I think I did cut this bit of blue check into the right shape. Now here for the white, I'm just going to pin it on and I'll go around it in a minute. What am I looking for over here? A little bit more brown. I quite like the fabric that I had as a background, but I'm never going to leave it flat. That's not going to work. So for this part, I'm going to just sew around some of these flowers, and in doing so, it'll keep down, it'll help sew down whatever's underneath. I'm going to, there you go. Off now. World's biggest pins. So I've sent my Sewers Village off to the Australian Quilt Show Challenge. Gosh, I'm bleeding everywhere. See what happens. I'm not sure if I'll have a quilt in this year. They've called for it to come in for the next stage, but you know, there's a lot of quilts get called in at this stage. I think for the actual challenge there's only about 30 chosen, so it's a bit tricky. My work's not everybody's cup of tea, so you never know. But it was good. It got me moving. It got me on the machine and sewing. My hand was sore, and I couldn't do any handwork. And I actually really liked how it turned out. I hated it for a lot of the process, but I think that's just because I couldn't do it the way I wanted to. All right, so I'm just going to find some of the white bits in here and do some stitching. I don't want this flappy. So the goal today is the vase and placing it on the table and just deciding whether there's going to be anything under it. I see some people have used doilies, which of course, you know, I love doilies. I'm going to test a few doilies, see if I like them there. Whether I need something like a completely different colour to give it a bit of oomph, like maybe pick some of the pink out of the flowers and put a pink check sort of thing under it. Anyway, I'm not at that bit yet. So I'm literally just sewing around the outside of these flowers. There's no great trick, just using quite a thin long needle because some of these fabrics are quite loosely woven and I don't want them to fray after I have, just from where my needle goes in. I'm happy for them to fray after, but I want them secured. I'll lift up Mr. Bird. I will find one of these little pins. Stick in there, there's my needle. Alrighty, there we go. So yes, it's kind of thrown my sense of where we are in the year. I thought I'd going to have my dad for a little bit longer, but I have to be grateful for the time we had. Let's go down here. I'm going to just do some. This is a little bit of an off-white. Just catch every pin. So I'm just going to do one here. Kind of just on the gaps between the blue petals. One there. I'm going to do one here. Yeah, there's your back stitch across the back, but that's okay. This is going to be stitched down. Nothing's going to catch it, or, you know, it's not going to come loose. And again, I'm going to stitch to the edge of the vase shape, and then I'm going to cut that off so that it looks like it's the shape of the vase, if you know what I mean. This is a nice quick kind of project for me because it's little. It's not the whole thing, just getting everything down. Too far. I like just a little bit of texture that gives it. Alrighty. So I was watching, I think it was Sarah Is it Sarah or was it Rachel today weaving? It looks amazing. It's definitely a technique I'm going to try, not on this particular piece, but certainly later. Yes, I still need to do you. And something else. Let's have a look. I do have a little bit of room there. I'm going to go here. See, I'm still to here. And we don't want it to be floppy. And floppy's good if floppy's what you want. So that's off the edge now, so I'm just going to bring that back in there. Just going to cut that now, like this. I'll do that so it doesn't stick to my backy thing. Like, you ready? Also, I've done it on top of their dummy. Okay, that's great. Okay, so with my cream, I'm going to keep moving on the bird. I'm just going to do some stitching along his tail, along the outside in the little bit of cream that I've left around the outside. Again, very basic stitching. And then whatever I want to do in the form of decorative stitching, I'll do a bit later. Oops, untuck his tail. I'll do one more stitch in maybe before I time off. I can come up here. Let's have a little look where we're up to. Okay, that's good. I'm going to continue with that cream, off-white, which is this one, from Vinnie's, of course. Where else? Thread my needle over here. Some days it just doesn't want to go through, does it? Oh, got it. Okay. Again, big long thread. I like a big long thread. Spent a fair bit of time cleaning up in here this morning just because I kind of wasn't ready in my mind to start any work. But it's amazing when you clean your studio how that in itself is inspiring to get you going. I'm just going to go up and down so I can get this exactly how I want it. I just want one. So just one of these little features on my vase. They're off a beautiful toile that I'm down to the last little bit of. I just picked up a bloke, this little fellow, and this lovely little bird. Just check that that's straight. And then all the other bits and pieces have just come off other bits of fabric and fabrics that I had. Went blue shopping, as you do, blue vase shopping fabric to audition them. So I'm going to pop that one in there because I frayed the edge of that. Now let's just see here. So again, this is the same fabric, just layered on, but I like the texture that that gives, and another line, and the pattern kind of goes against itself, which I really like. I'm going to start down here so that I don't inadvertently give myself a big pucker in there. Here we go, right up between his ribs. I will probably do some decorative stitching in the different colours, but for now I'm just stitching him down. See how that's actually frayed because it was too close to the edge, and it's going to go as close into his beak as I can, which is actually probably on his beak, but I'll stitch away from it so it won't be too evident. Okay. Across the top of his little head. And then I've also caught the corner of that, so that's good. Now I've caught the whole thing. What am I doing? There we go. Okie doke. Let's go across here. So my little crane will go behind my Mr. Darcy. At the moment he's upstaging him. So I'm going to head back now over to the little symbol. That was off a beautiful tea towel actually, blue and white. I just want to check that it's straight. Are you straight? Straight-ish, that'll let me. So I'm going to duck straight up to here and just do square stitches. Or stitches in the square bits, if you know what I mean. Straight across. I don't mind that the cream shows up on the white. Just gives it more texture, more interest. You can still see the pattern really clearly. I'm going to go up here. Sometimes I do things in the wrong order, but you know. I'm still working away. I've got Home is Where the Heart Is just ticking over in the background. Now that once I decided I wasn't going to try and be finished for the Australian Quilt Show, it's good. It's taken a lot of pressure off that. It would be well and truly done had I not hurt, had my thumb broken. But given that I couldn't sew for most of the school holidays, I've just let that tick over now in the background, and I'm really enjoying it again. I don't want to ever be in a position where I'm not enjoying what I'm making. I think that's what would be hard if you made things to sell. I think if you're making them for yourself, it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? Okay. I do want that on top, yes. So this is a little bit of a slow stitched vase. I see some people have done some really realistic type of shading and stuff, which looks really good. Again, realism's not my thing. I can't do that. I don't have the skills required for that. So this is my version of that. So my little guy's got, light and dark and texture and interest, and Mr. Darcy there in the middle looking super handsome, looking like he's ready to burst into action and do something useful. I'm not sure what, but I don't think he is either. So that little bit of blue is going to come across here like this. Come here, you. That's doing absolutely nothing, is it, that pin? I want that to curve with that. I'm just going to grab some of these little pins. Gotcha. I got you there. And look, you may not even see this when I put that bit of lace, bit of edging over the top, but I'll know it's there. I'll know it's adding excitement. Okay, so I'm up to... Now, Mr. Darcy himself is going to have this over the whole thing, like that. So you can still see the brown, you can still see my crane, and then I'll cut off his boot. Yeah. That's doing nothing for me, Mr. Darcy, except I have pinned it to the back. Let's have a look. So now, if you have a look where I've been, I'm all here. I've got nothing done over here. I'm just going to do a securing stitch here for my little bit of embellishment that's going on the neck, the lippy thing of the vase, the indenty bit. I'm sure there's a word for it. And I just got that off a bit of fabric that actually had ginger jars on it. was tempted just to use one of the ginger jars, but it would have been just, embroidering it, or it would have been too flat. That's not for me. I'm going to go across the top here in a straight line. Imagine that. Let's have a look. And the little bits of brown check just balance it all out for me. Again, I'm not trying to be even. In fact, sometimes I have to deliberately be uneven if I get what I'm doing and get into a rhythm. I think, why don't I like it? And I won't like it because it'll be even. Take you out. Just get you straight here. So that just needs to be there, like, I think like that. What do you reckon? So a little bit of a move around today. I've brought my beautiful old green chair down from upstairs. My husband could actually not stand looking at it anymore, which I can't complain. He's looked at it for 16 years, but I needed to make room for it, and it's nice to actually have somewhere to sit comfortably and just, either have a look through a book or look at something online in between stitching. So that's just going to tuck under there. I am just going to do some little teeny tiny little crosses here. It'll go across off the top of the fabric onto the blue behind so that we can see it a little bit better. I have cleaned my fingernails. Honestly, it's just stained from being in the garden for 2 days. I'm just going to do these along here with that little bit of brown, deliberately coming off the top so that the stitches are more visible. Just pull them down. And this one's going a little bit higher again. Oh, thank God for hobbies, hey. My mum has her sewing. She's an amazing quilter, and her dog. So I think, they're going to be very important in the coming weeks and months and years for her. Just want you to tuck under there, and he just doesn't want to. Let's just go there. I'm still on screen, yes I am. Right. It's nice having such a small project because I can actually see my phone and see what's happening. The amount of times I've been working on a big piece and chatting away and working away, only to find that, it's stopped for some reason, either because I've run out of battery or because my phone's full. I've been talking to myself for ages and not filming. Yeah, I don't want it to end where that ends because, that looks too. So I'm just going to do a little one for good luck just here. Okay, yeah, that's good. What do you think? All right, so now I'm back down under here. So only the top of this has been stitched down. So I do want that to sit on top of these guys. So I'm going to drop back in and I'm going to follow the, I didn't do a very good job of that, did I? Follow that along. I'm just going to give you, which one are you there? Off. Actually, I might just go straight. Hey, what do you think? Well, maybe not off the edge. think I might just so straight like that. Yes, I do like that. Just got to find the edge. Now this guy keeps sticking up. Again, let's find my little pin. Little bowl. All right, stay there, you. So now I want to start in the white. Here it comes, up it goes, come on. I'm just, see, I've just missed it again. I'm going to just cheat by doing that. There we go. Now I'm going along this guy, trying to catch little stitches. The floral underneath as well. Those little stitches. Oh. So I'm trying to create different lines and angles. So this is the neck of the vase that comes in more narrow. So the two lines that are parallel to each other are stitching. Should hopefully bring the eye in to see that. Now, what's little guy? Are you going to be above my line or below it? Let's have a look. I think we're going to have to put you under, little fellow. Let's go. All right. So I'm getting there slowly. I've got my bird on. This bit didn't catch. Obviously, it's right on the edge. So I'm going to go back along here. That back under there where I want it. And then I'm just going to do some stitching in the white to keep it in place. Move him in there. There we go. Hopefully that'll keep his little head tucked underneath there. So I'm just going to do a couple of contoury sort of stitches here. Basically, it's just going in the direction that the curve of the vase would be, kind of, very loosely. But again, just changing directions, creating some interest. Okay. Now I'm just kind of following the pattern a bit. And I want this to look different to the one under it, so I'm happy with it so far. Let's just go into there. And again, I'm just going to echo that line. It's just all made up as we go along. There's no right or wrong. You could stitch this however you want it. Go back up to the top. And really, I'm just stitching this so that that top edge stays under. And then, the pattern that I've chosen is just come out of that, basically. The direction of the stitches. And so it kind of is just, you make it up as you go along. To suit what you're trying to achieve, I guess. Yeah. And then we're going to change direction now down this way. Imagine the shape of the vase. Gosh, I'm having all sorts of luck with these pins, aren't I? Serves myself right. I should have used the tiny ones. Let's do that. Just change direction so that it doesn't look two-dimensional, even though it's two-dimensional. To here. Again, going in a different direction now. Just imagine if you were drawing, how you would draw the contour lines. That's kind of what I'm doing now with this. Although it just disappears into the background, it definitely creates a line. Let's have a look. Where am I under here? I'm actually just going to do this so I know where it ends. There's no point sewing into nothing, is there? Right, so now I can see that I need quite a few more over here. Let's go down there, you. Let's get back here. And so the vase, the edge of this vase is just going to be raw. It's going to be stitched down onto my tablecloth and my window and my flowers underneath it. Okay. One more for good luck, I think. And that little guy is done. The top bit anyway. So now I'm up to, I'm just going to stitch down here in the navy, check. I'm going to skip to the white. So I don't want the contrast. I'm just going to do a couple of stitches in this square. And then I'm going to drop straight into the white bird. It's a crane from a piece of fabric that was given that I love. So I've just cut a few elements out that I know you'd find on a ginger jar or a little white vase. I may have a couple upstairs for reference, maybe. So I'm just going to stitch around the outside of this one. I really want that white to be a bit of a contrast. Still on screen, yes I am. There is some crochet edging going on here. I kind of don't worry about that. I just stitch it, and then if it covers it, it covers it. I've just caught that bit of blue behind as well. He can come off. Ah, hang on. Let's get you where you should be. Mr. Darcy, you need to lift yourself up. Okay. I'm just going to do that with him. Touch your toes for a minute, buddy. And again, this little bit's going to be under him, so I'm just going to sew this down so that it's stitched in place. So I haven't got any trips booked this year. Mum and I have been going to the quilt show. We went last year. The year before we had to cancel because Dad was so ill, which is when he actually was diagnosed with his cancer. We managed to go to Melbourne last year, which was wonderful. Then had a couple of days up in Castlemaine. It's beautiful down there. And then this year, well, my daughter's having a baby in mid-May, so I'll be using my time off to be around for that. So I don't think we'll be doing any quilting trips this year as she, just settles herself in now and kind of gets used to her new life, I guess. I'm just going to tie this off here. I start messing around with Mr. Darcy. Okay. All right, up you go, bub. So now, where do I want you? You're there. I'm going to use a sensible pin. this gorgeous tile. I did think of having the two birds, but I didn't like it. So we have one. I'm going to just swap you two. They're a bit ridiculous. Alright, so I'll stitch these guys down, and then my bit of blue crochet edging will go over the top. Because you can't do anything without a doily, can you? Seriously. Okay, I have a different colour here, which is going to work just fine. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and again, some of Mr. Darcy's feet grassy clump here will go. This is actually a bit of a finer thread, not deliberately, it's just what I grabbed. That away before I lose it. I'm going to stitch around him. Up, down, and over. I must learn to slow that bit down, hey. No pins up there now, I can roll it up. Let's have a look. Of course, I've caught on the one pin. Oh, there he is. Going to go back a bit here. There's enough room for me to go up the side. I'm going to zoom right up to his hand here. Under his armpit. So his head's not going anywhere now. I'm just going to do that. He's still straight-ish. Yep. And again, just little stitches here. This white's quite a good match for the actual background fabric. You really can't see it. If I did big stitches against the scale of the print, it would stick out. So I'm just going to go up around his head here. Quite carefully, one stitch at a time. I don't want him to fall off. Oh, look at that. Frayed that up. One at a time is the way to go, hey. This feels nice now. It feels nice and chunky and interesting. Mr. Darcy looks like he was meant to be there, don't you think? See, if I do it that way, I split it. I need to not do it that way. And we'll just come down here through his little shirt so it doesn't flop loose on me. Under his arm again. Alrighty, he's looking good. I'm going to just branch. No, I'm going to come back with this colour on my flower. So I'm just going to keep going down his side here. His hat's under there, but that's okay. I nearly was tempted to push it back up, but I didn't. I don't want it to fray. It did. Let's go up into his crotch, which is a bit windy. So I'm just stitching close to the outline. The stitches echo this, the image, so they'll just disappear. I'll just disappear. So now I'm just going to go on the outside of his foot, like this. I've really enjoyed this project so far. It's good making yourself think outside the box at a time. One up there where there's a bit more room. All right, now I'm going to go down the other leg on the inside here. Ow, don't do that. Over the land. Off you go. Nearly done with my little friend here. I'm just going to stitch up and over some of this grass at the bottom, so he feels like he's nice and secure. I'm going to start down here like this, go up on the inside. Where am I? Those flowers gorgeous in the needle point that I've got. Just stunning. They're from Nairi. She sent them to me as a gift. If you look at her Nairi's Bits and Bobs, that's actually the image that she has as a little avatar. Are you rethinking your gift? Sorry, Nairi. They're stitched down. Mwahaha. All right. Okay, so that is Mr. Darcy stitched down. I'm going to end this thread here, just underneath him. Then I'm going to go back and pick up some of the other thread that I had just to finish that one flower. But first, I'm just going to cut around on this side. Is the shape of my vase. You won't see these sticky outy threads. Let me just trim you off. What's the longest one? Awesome. So now just this little guy left. So I was using this one. It's a bit thicker, a bit more oomph to it, and it will go well with the heaviness of that fabric. See how that's like a more coarse sort of thicker sort of linen fabric. I think it was actually a tea towel in memory. Okay, this may well be the last little bit on here. I haven't done anything there. Oh, I've got the blue what do you call it, stitch down yet, that crochet edging. Let's just follow this around. So I'm just going to basically follow the shape of the leaves here, like that. Fabric's a little bit more robust. I'm hoping that my little grey woolen thing is, and having that there will help with the glare issue that I have in this room, because I do have fluorescent lighting and it's basically impossible to see without it, as I don't have a lot of natural light down here. I mean, the door's open, but in the morning there's a bit of light. So I'm on the south side. So I've got a fair bit of white out here, which is okay. I want that to break the vase up usually, so I'm just going to leave that be. And then once I stitch it down, once it's attached to the backing, I can always add more stitches if I need to, just through the whole thing. At the moment, I'm just looking to have it basically be 90% finished. Yeah, like that. I quite like the white going right into the middle of these ones. I'll do the same thing here. Maybe do the same thing just here as well. Over here. Right. It's therapeutic, isn't it? It's nice. Just so again. Go. Let's far down. How am I looking? I might be done actually for now. I think I just need another stitch just there for some random reason. Okay, so let's tie you off. It's time to do the blue crocheted edging, which I'm going to use just to follow the outline of, everything sticks to these mats, doesn't it? Follow the edging of this edge here. So I want it to start there, where it kind of bulby out bit, and follow me around. I'm just going to pin all the way through like that. Through like that, so I get a curve. Alright, nice little bit of stitching for today. Well, for this bit anyway. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm really happy with that, considering it's all a bit random. So I'm going to just tap these up one at a time to pin him in. Okay. Okay. Is that where I want it? Pretty close. Hey, that actually just left there where I was trying to get it to go around. What was it doing? Let me just pause you for a minute.